Welcome to Fandom Knight, the show that gives praise to Yevon.
Because stupid.
I'm your host, William Bush, Reploid Bill. Let's do the co-host thing.
I'm the disembodied voice.
Named Jeremy. And I am Nick Bennett, the lone paladin guy thingy.
Alright.
Let's do this.
Yeah, first, let's get contact information out of the way. If you would like to contact me directly, Facebook, that's Bill Bush. Google+, that's William Bush. If you would like to contact me by email, that's reploidbill, no spaces, at gmail.com. To contact the show, you can go to our group page, which is on Facebook. That's Reploid Productions. Or you could send us an email directly at reploidproductions, no space, at gmail.com. The last thing that you can do is if you have stumbled upon this file and you would like to hear more of the show, you can go on things like Podkicker and Reploid Space Productions, put that in, and you should locate us that way. If not, you can also find us by going to the website directly. That's reploidproductionsnospace.com. You go on there, and there's a link to the YouTube, our RSS feed in general, eblogger.com, and I believe that we'll be adding an iTunes up shortly. So, with that out of the way, we are in the process of continuing our promise to review the Final Fantasy Legacy, and as I said before, there is a slight stipulation when it comes to Final Fantasy IV, because there is a DS version, and there is a complete version. Now, the reason this is the only one that gets a stipulation like this is because they are so remarkably different that they stand as their own games. It's you almost can't you can compare the two, but it's almost impossible to say that this version is better than this version or anything of that sort because they're so remarkably different. Today we are on Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection
for the PSP.
For the PSP. And that is, of course, we've already determined our version. So the very first thing we do is see it.
Well, when we see it, we notice that the graphics are a fuck ton better than the old school SNES stuff. Granted, they do look a little awkward from here and there. But
still remarkably, and I think that's on purpose, because it's remarkably made to function exactly like the Super Nintendo game.
Which is what makes it so awkward, because the characters are no longer scrunched into one tile.
Right.
They're actually laced as 1.5, 2 tile tall characters, but the only spot you ever have to really worry about is that bottom tile.
And the Dark Knight has like a wiggle in his butt, and he walks like a fucking...
all the characters do this weird walk.
When they walk towards...
And it's very awkward. That's one of the big things that pissed me off about the game. I just looked at it as like, this looks fucking stupid. But then we get into battle, and then I'm like, these character models look fucking amazing.
The rest of it I thought looked great, though. Even when the character's model walked at you, he looked a little awkward. But the rest of it, like the little fire effects, like the torches, each individual brick on like the castle and whatnot, you could see there was real detail in every single screen.
I mean, it didn't look like it was just some awkward cobblestone walls and floors.
I thought that everything about it looked good. I love the world map. I like the clouds overhead. I liked when you were in the airship. I enjoyed the underworlds. Like, the way the water looked. Everything about that game was visually appealing to me.
Also, on top of that, the cutscenes. They did add in some really damn good cutscenes.
There were some...
Like when Leviathan eats the ship.
They don't overdo it, though.
They don't overdo it, but it pops out to you. Yep. You're like, wow.
It's like 2 or 3 quick CGI scenes that don't really pull you out of the game. It just kind of improves it.
Yeah. Honestly, the graphics just look amazing. For a lot of the stuff. Jeremy's sitting over here going, yeah, right.
No,
yeah.
Actually, I agree.
Oh, wow.
Mostly, the only thing I remember, though, is the fight scenes.
Yes.
And those were absolutely beautiful.
The battles.
The character sprites looked really well. The Dark Knight
but they still
looked a lot like he should have.
There's a feeling of nostalgia that runs through the entire game, though, because even though they had the ability to do something else, you're still the same thing. Take an awkward step forward, swing your sword twice, it does so much damage, you step back into line.
Yeah, but
that's part of it.
That's what the game was.
Right, it gave you a feeling of nostalgia the entire game while you were enjoying just how much had been picked up.
Mm-hmm. Another
spells.
thing, the spells looked amazing.
Absolutely.
What was the best?
Really good.
What was the best eye-catching spell? Go with that thing that you definitely noticed. Even if it's a summon, because the summons
actually
were even
Meteor.
kind of picked up in that.
Meteor looked a lot better.
Yeah.
Instead of these awkward green and orange balls falling from the sky, you're like, the fuck is this? It's like, pew, 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 pew. You're like,
Oh yeah.
wow, that took so much time to cast. What the balls? But
Yes.
back in the olden days, we were like, oh, this is so pimp.
Right, and that kind of came back. You kind of felt again.
Some people never saw Meteor except for 2 times in the game.
Yes, that's true.
The first time you see it is Tella does it.
Mm-hmm.
The second time you actually see it in gameplay is when Fusoya and Golbez both do the W Meteor.
Yeah, they dual cast, don't they?
They do a dual cast. They combine their forces and call down W Meteor. Now the thing is, a lot of people didn't have the patience to level up Rydia to 90. Or 80 or 90 for her to be able to go pew 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 boom, everything dies because everyone's too busy going, I got fucking Bahamut. I don't need that shit.
I got my view on Rydia too. I've got something to say about her when we get to her. I'm excited about Rydia in general.
Actually, her character sprites change so dramatically when she goes from the girl
from
to
child to adult.
That is amazing.
You can really tell, and the adult version of her looks really cool now because you could tell that there's like that elegant green, long flowing multi-crap garden like she has the arms but they're not connected on the shoulders.
Yeah,
and then the dress is in like 5 or 6 different pieces that kind of arc off of her. Like that looks amazing that they got that much detail into a tiny sprite. Like the other characters don't do that for me. Like Tella, I could tell he's wearing that robe. And then
and you can tell he's still got his badass old man sunglasses.
And I can tell that Fusoya is still 90% beard. Like
why did they not change? Actually no. You know what? I know why they didn't change that. It's because people would have got pissed off if he didn't turn into a puddle of beard when he died.
Yes.
Because that's the one thing everyone remembers about Fusoya. When he dies in battle, he goes to beard puddle.
Yes.
He just becomes a goopy pile of beard and some head. And you're like, ew.
The way that the game looked is just absolutely great. Like every character stands out now. And Rydia, I think, stands out the most. Like looking at some of the other characters, like you could tell that there was all the armors and whatnot when you got you got the Cecil's and whatnot.
As a Dark Knight and Kane's Dragoon armor looked so much better.
Yeah, they were like segmented, and you could tell that they were segmented.
Yeah, it's like I think we when we were originally doing the Legacies way back when.
Yeah. 4 years ago.
Me and you, well, yeah, that's way back when it comes, especially with the internet. Hell,
no, yeah,
our freaking show is like ancient now. But no, me and you were sitting down and discussing. I think on this one specific topic was the Dark Knight armor represents more like an eagle type shape, whereas the Dragoon armor is a dragon head.
And you could see that Cecil is a bird now. He's like a dark bird. And Kane is a dragon.
Helmet looks more like an actual dragon.
Like, it was
Instead
weird.
It's just like the weird, awkward dragon head. It's like full dragon head with like the back segmented shielding part.
Falling into Dissidia again, which is something we reference a lot, but that's the best way to see the representation of what these characters were meant to look like. If you play the Super Nintendo, if you play the PS4... like, you'll notice something about the way the characters, not PS4, you understand, PSP, they look a very specific way. That bird, that dragon, but when Kane looks like a dragon, you get to Cecil, and he's like the Warrior of Light again. He's like this, he's not wearing armor, he's wearing like this bodysuit, and he's got like that weird face thing. He's more from Final Fantasy 4 DS, and I don't care for that version because I grew up every version of him from the Super Nintendo to the Sony PlayStation to the PSP to the Game Boy Advance. He was the dark like eagle bird thing. That was like part of his character to me.
And then on top of that, you know, when he went to Paladin, he retained that golden armor. That's the way I always envisioned him.
And people that envisioned him in that way...
With Dissidia and the PSP and the DS, I hated the way he looked when he became a paladin.
But have you seen Dissidia 02 Duodecima thing?
Yeah, the Duodecim. Yeah, that's what I was talking about the last episode, which is why I didn't want to bring it up then.
If you get...
They fixed it with the DLC, but that's a DLC.
But what's cool is
and
that...
it's sad because I have...
It's fixed for people... Listen, it's fixed for people that care. It's not a DLC. That's not... You can't go on and just get that. For the people that went out of their way to buy Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection, it came with a card. You're the only ones that can do it.
Oh, you can download... For me because I got a digital copy of...
You can download the Final Fantasy IV costumes from that era, the ones that we feel they looked like.
Which I did get to see the paladin armor when you did that.
And he's actually in the gold.
This looks like he needs to.
He's wearing all that gold. He's wearing the full segmented armor.
He's wearing the full gold plate mail
instead of the white blue bodysuit.
Yeah, and he still had that
blue hair.
Well, he had the weird purplish blue. It was supposed to represent platinum,
right?
But they couldn't figure out how to do it.
Which they fixed in the PSP. You could tell that he's supposed to have that type of hair.
Platinum blonde hair.
Right.
But he also still had that, like, guy tiara type thing, which was still kind of cool.
Right.
I'm trying to think of what it actually is. It's the guy version of what a tiara is. It's basically a prince wears that type of shit.
I don't know what that thing is supposed to be called.
I don't either. It's weird, but it still looks cool on him. So I never questioned it. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. That looks cool.
Yeah, I'd say that without a doubt, 100% the game is massively visually appealing. And I don't think there's anything else to talk about graphically.
Well, the summons. The summons what about good.
Yeah, out of the summons, what really caught your attention? Most impressive summon. Mine is between Bahamut and Leviathan.
Actually, I'd have to say mine's between Bahamut or Rama.
Yeah?
Because they actually made him look like a sage. Like, full-blown, a lot better of a sage than, Super Nintendo, where he was just kind of like weird
granted.
Guy with big beard.
Yes.
He's like, I'm old as shit! Zap! I'm out here!
What about this disembodied voice? Summons. Or did you really use the summons that much?
I actually did not use the summons very often.
Unlike the other games, in this, once you got to the end of the world, quote unquote, when you come back from the moon, you were able to choose your team. It didn't just give you a team you had to go with. When you're going around and recollecting all your people, you can choose the exact team you want.
Yeah, you didn't have to keep Rydia, but you were sacrificing a lot of your black magic.
But you could make up for that by using. But you could make up for that by using people that you didn't have a chance to use. Like one, you can cure the little kids, okay, and if you
they get cured automatically by the elder.
But you could take them. You could take them. That's a twin cast, and then you no longer need Rosa if you don't want her. I mean, if you do, you can
sacrifice 2 character slots to be able to do 1 attack.
Yeah, but you still have access to not just that, but to healing and then the other thing that I thought was cool, you want real power, you put Kain away, you take Yang with you.
And he punches people for you.
Yang will defeat that final boss. Like, he punches with 9999.
I mean, Kain does have his uses, and I do bash on Kain a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly because of Shane, who is currently sleeping downstairs on the couch.
He's a tired mug.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be bashing on some Kain right now, just because I can. Kain is an emo bitch. He's completely worthless to me, because all he does is get brainwashed. But he has one actual upside. When fucking Zeromus decides to be like, time to be a dick about things, bromp, do massive damage, I know exactly when it's coming, so I'm like, hey, Kain, useless guy, be useful, jump. He's like, okay, whoop. So he dodges the attack, lands, goes, Mega Elixir, everyone's fine, let's do this. That's his only function. He does a little bit of damage, throws something to heal up the entire party, they just start raping some more.
Gameplay. This was the very first time ever that every character had a legitimate and different purpose. There was a mechanic that ran through each character that was unique to that character and added a different form of strategy to your team, such as kick and saving up the energy, the focus attack, or covering and actually having the ability to heal while still being able to attack, or the twin cast, or Tella being like, oh, I forgot how to do that. Oh, I remember how to do that.
Tella's like, what the hell was that spell again? Was it, oh yeah, it's Faraga. I remember that now.
Summoning.
Boom!
Summoning was huge for me. She almost never left my team. And
sometimes Ashura needed to be summoned, except when you get pissed off because Ashura was like, and Wheel of Faces, turn. Which one are we gonna get?
Why I refused to use my summoner.
And then all of a sudden you're like, please be the black face. Need life. Please be the black face. Angry orange face. Protect the entire party who's mostly dead. Fuck!
I will say she was my favorite character because she wasn't great in terms of physical strength, but every single weapon in the game had an effect for her.
Yeah.
She could hit people, put them to sleep. Hit people, make them
confused.
Silenced. Hit people, confuse them. Hit people, poison them. Charm them.
Berserk them. Yeah.
So even when she was normal attacking, she was causing status ailments. Her black magic
is the best in the entire game.
The best in the game. She actually completes the spell list and gets the ultimate attack.
The only other person that can do that can't use the ultimate attack because he's old as fuck.
He doesn't have enough mana to use it.
And when he does use it, finally, he kills himself.
Right. After that, you go in like she has
Fusoya. Fusoya does get he's basically the full sage. No, he doesn't. Fusoya lives.
Well, it feels like he dies in the game because they take him away from you.
Yeah.
And you later figure out.
But you do get him for a little bit, which is helpful.
She got the summons. I liked being able to hunt down the summons that were hiding around the planet.
Like, a lot of people, for some reason, didn't know where to find Odin.
Yeah, he was under the castle in Baron.
Yeah, it's the king of Baron.
Yep.
In actuality, but he got killed, so his spirit's chilling out in his secondary throne, which makes no fucking sense.
Yep, under the castle you could fight the king and get Odin.
My question is,
fighting Bahamut.
Why did the king have a second throne room that was just like a tiny little box with the throne in it, so that we could just sit down and be like, oh man, that was a long day of kinging.
Because when he drinks alone, he prefers to be by himself.
How about you, Guy?
No, I drink with people.
No, I wasn't talking about that. Gameplay mechanics that you liked, hated, what?
Well, it's a lot like he said. When it came to interchanging the team, that was a big plus. And the more power that you had, the better. Because it was much better to be able to strike something 2 or 3 times on a single hit than to summon something that could just potentially screw you.
5 people, right? 5 people in your team.
Yeah.
What was
team? The one and only time you had 5 characters. Well, 5 controllable characters on your team.
Okay, your team, your preferred people.
My preferred
5 people. Yep.
I always had Cecil with me.
Yeah.
Because I liked the Paladin and I liked the Dark Knight.
Okay.
I liked him all around as a character, and he was always useful to me because he would take my hits and he would dish out some damage. I
don't think you can replace him. I think he's the only guy you can't replace, right? You cannot.
I think you can replace him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you can't beat the game if you do because he's the only one that can use the crystal.
Yeah, when you swapped him out, he disappeared off the map.
Huh.
You would use somebody else to walk around.
Yep.
Okay,
but the thing is, if you got rid of him, you couldn't beat the game.
All right.
Because he's the only guy who can use the crystal.
Okay, all right.
Because of Kluya's spirit. That's the only reason why he can use the crystal.
So far, you use Cecil.
I always use Cecil. I usually always have Rosa with me.
There's
because
2.
I need my healer. I usually try to get rid of Kain.
I only use Rosa for one reason.
She heals.
Pray.
Well, you know what? I do remember a lot of...
Because it's free heals, and as long as you're strong enough, most of the time the enemies don't do enough damage. Like, even if they do major damage, they do it to, like, one guy, and they move on to the next, and after 2 or 3 prays, that dude's back up to the life he was at, so...
Complete collection, Prey was useful. Now, when we get to the DS version, no.
Yeah, we're not there yet. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
I always have her there as healer, sometimes backup for fighting dragons. because I always had an Artemis bow on her, so she did like quad damage against dragons.
All right.
She would shoot that arrow right into their face and be like, "Oh God, my eyes!" And I'd be like, "Yeah, take it, dragon. Weak white mage, shoot a bow."
What are you sitting at now? Who's next?
So, Rydia I always kept because she was my black mage. She did my summons. She was just all around useful to me. I always kept Edge because Edge is probably one of my most favorite characters out of the entire cast. I have 3 actual favorites. It's
in that game or all Final Fantasy?
In that game specifically, definitely.
Okay.
My 3 favorite characters have to be Cecil, Rydia, and Edge.
So you got one person left.
My last person, I just kind of throw it around every once in a while. Sometimes I'll throw Sid in there just
That's your expendable, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like sometimes I'm like, you know what, I want to beat the game with Sid.
Okay.
So I throw Sid in there, and he bashes things and peeps on things. He's like, ooh, I'm going to take a look real close at this thing. Like, Sid, quit being a perv. Just bash it with a hammer. Sometimes I'll throw Yang in, like you said. Yang can do some punching.
He was my powerhouse. He's the reason.
He was a beast.
He's the guy I
I only did this once, and I regretted the fuck out of it. Threw Edward in the party for the final boss.
Wow.
Edward, this is what happened to the final boss. Edward finally caught up in levels. I was like, alright, maybe you won't be that useless. And he did some damage. And his songs were helping out. And then Zeromus did this. And Edward's like, ow! Run off the screen and hide. That's where he stayed the rest of the battle. Because the second he'd come out, I tried to cure him, he'd run back. So my cure would hit somebody who was already at full health. I'm like, God damn it, Edward! I don't want to go out there. It's scary.
Hate that guy.
But sometimes it's like medicine was helpful as fuck, though.
I hated
because
that
if
guy.
Rosa was busy trying to, life somebody, and I was like, oh shit, I have to heal, Edward would be like, I got this.
That was a joke that we made the first time we ever talked about this game. It's called, they call it Salve. And it doesn't tell you what it's doing. It just says salve. You click on it. It highlights all your people. You use it. It says salve. And all your people go up in life. And I was like, sweet.
And then
so I'm doing it like every turn. Like, I'm healing for free. I'm a beast. Then all of a sudden he was like, no potions. And I was like, what do you mean potions?
And then he looked
you
at his inventory.
Cheeky bastard. I go into my inventory. I've got nothing. He used everything.
He's got ethers.
But it doesn't tell you he's doing that. He's just like, I can heal us. I can heal us. And everybody's like, okay, do that. And he's like, give me your potions. And they're like, what? He's like, just give it to. I'm going to use 4 potions right now. On everybody.
Or 5, depending on how many people we have.
And then, nobody really, it doesn't tell you that it's doing that.
They're like, Edward, what can you do? I can sing something useful. All right, I can heal us.
I can steal your potions and heal us.
No. He's just kind of, he's standing behind everybody, cowering. He's like, I can heal us, because he just eyes the bag of potions on the ground. They're like, all right, start doing that. He's like, okay, throw potions without anyone knowing. It's like, man, this guy's awesome. He's like, guys, I can't heal us anymore. Why? Are you out of magic or something? No, I don't use magic. We need more money, though.
I hate that guy.
We need to hit a shop as soon as possible.
Character.
You can almost guarantee he was the one carrying the bag.
Yeah.
Dude, I hated it.
That way no one would know you're out of potions until he's like, I think we need more potions.
Character.
Yes, easily. I've never liked him.
Balanced, but it just weren't balanced enough to keep up the rest of the team.
I despised him. He's got a place. I never, ever go out of my way to help that character. I play the game legit. If I'm playing the game, I keep him alive. I keep him alive the best I can. But when the time comes
and he is defeated,
that guy can get the fuck out, guess what he does?
Back. See, I get yelled at because I break the game in quotes because I kill Edward. First battle, I look over at Edward, I'm like, Rydia, burn that motherfucker. She's like, okay, woof, and Edward's like, oh, dead. I'm like, and that's the way he stays. Let us fight the antlion.
Because the game, when it grants you experience, it takes a total, then divides it by the total amount of players that you have.
And that's how much experience everyone gains.
If you drop him off the game, you automatically level up quicker.
Yep. That's the way I also get Paladin Cecil to kind of catch back up with everybody. I'll get everything, or I'll get into a fight of like 8 zombies, kill off all but one of the weakest zombies, kill off Tella and the twins, and it has us go, Juga Juga, dead, victory, gain like 10 levels. Alright, yeah. Now we can go down the mountain, guys.
Shit, where were you when I was playing this game?
What, with all my bullshit tactics?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You could have called me, guy.
Yeah, that's one of the best.
This is training. My first game that I can literally I can not actually blindfolded, but I can just blindly charge through, and I know where I'm going. I might take 1 or 2 wrong turns.
Memorized every map and shit.
Well, it also helps that I've been, for like the last 4 or 5 plus years, I've been playing a fan-made game. That all the maps are pretty much identical, and it's a multiplayer version of Final Fantasy IV, which was fun.
Legacy.
Yeah. But it's not around anymore, so I can't play it, which sucks. But I played through that enough times, unlocked all the extra jobs, played all the jobs. So that was kind of a neat thing, which allowed me to keep fresh in my mind where everything is, how to get to all this shit. And then I also learned a couple little tricks here and there.
Yep.
So that's definitely big things that... Honestly, the gameplay overall is a hell of a lot better.
I think we've
covered... And there's only slight tweaks that they had to do.
I can't think of anything else to say gameplay related. I think
actually, no, there is one thing that pisses me off.
Oh, okay,
my goddamn spoon. I want it back.
There's one thing to talk about gameplay-wise we haven't gone into yet. Even though it's kind of a part of the story, it is more gameplay because it doesn't actually affect the story.
Oh,
post-game. Post-game.
Oh, you mean like the dungeons and stuff?
You get a post-game, that's gameplay, going through the secret dungeons and whatnot.
Actually, you get 2. You get one before you go and fight Zeromus, and then you get one after you fight him.
Okay, well, like that's what I'm getting at. That's the last part to talk about.
There's the Trials of Mount Ordell's.
Okay.
Where you can go in with...
that's where you get the weapons, right?
Okay. No, both of them give you 2 sets of weapons.
Okay.
Mount Ordeal's gives you 1 set of weapons that are... higher tier than what those characters would normally get. That's for the off-party members.
All right.
So that way, normally you have the final 5, and you're like, I don't want Kane, because he sucks a dick, and all he does is leap, and it pisses me off. Get the fuck out of my team, you useless fuck. All you're going to do is hang in the air the entire fucking battle. Get out of here. So you bring in Yang. Yang doesn't
what really have... What are you doing in the air? Get out of here!
Yeah, get out of here! So anyways, you kick that motherfucker out. You're like, Yang, get your karate kicking ass up in here. Welcome back to the team, buddy. He's like, all right, fuck yeah, let's do this shit.
That's right.
And he's like, guys, what the fuck are those? And Cecil's like, oh, it's just a crystal sword. There's nothing to worry about. It's my god tier weapon. Freaking... Rosa's sitting over there shining her Artemis bow and arrows. Fucking Rydia's sitting over there with the Stardust rod. Edge is like wielding Murasame and Masamune. He's like, yeah.
But so, as for the post game,
sitting there, he's like, I got Hell Claws.
As for the post game, when you talk post game, is it worth it? Is it a pain in the ass? Is it worth going through the trouble, or should it just be done?
It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but for specific characters, it is worth it.
But how is it worth it? Because now the game is over. This is what, with me, once I beat the game, once I beat the final boss, going to a post game is sometimes worth it, but almost never worth it because it's not like I can level up and go beat the game again.
It's more to let you play as the characters you wanted to and allow them to actually have some significant meaning.
Plus it also gives you extra puzzles afterward to still try and solve.
Yeah. It gives you, like, a little bit of extra gameplay, so that way you're like, you know what, I beat the game, I don't want to put it back down, I don't want to just randomly run around and try to farm pink puffs for a goddamn suit of adamant armor, because fuck that noise. Fucking 1,000,000,001 drop rate is what it seems like. Fight them motherfuckers for weeks.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen.
But you did go through
I hate that so
you did go
much.
through one of the main things. I remember you happened to be Kane. I remember that. You were Kane and you were fighting like Bahamut or some shit. And if he hit you, you were dead.
Yeah, you had to use jump a lot.
Yeah, that was the challenge dungeons afterwards. Yeah. Actually, you know what? We kind of screwed up a little bit of this because with the complete collection, we have 3 games in one we have to talk about.
But that's in story. Gameplay won't change in those 3 games.
Slightly.
Okay, the final
because
game.
Because the after years...
Are we done with the post game?
Yeah, we're done with the post game.
Okay,
there was a little bit of stuff that
then talk about the differences. Talk about the differences
that
change.
The big differences between Final Fantasy IV and then Final Fantasy IV the after years was basically certain characters, if you use certain abilities in conjunction with each other.
And the day and night thing.
And the day and night. But we'll get to that. Well, it's not day and night. The
moon phases.
The moon phases. But one of the biggest gameplay mechanics happened with battle. And say you had we'll go with Edge and Rydia.
That's
because I actually know theirs right off the bat. They actually teach you one of the bands for those two, which is a combination of 2 or more characters utilizing skills to do something miraculous.
Right,
they learn
I remember that.
If you have all 5 of the original cast members, if you have, I think you have Cecil attack, Rosa uses white magic or pray, I can't remember which. Rydia uses black magic, Edge has to use throw, and Kane uses jump. You do what is known as the band called Final Fantasy. Ha ha, ha 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 ha.
Right.
Shameless self-endorsement. Yay. But it's one of the most powerful bands in the entire game. Yeah, it takes 5 fucking people to do, but you break the damage limit with it. So when you hit somebody with it, they're getting booty raped. The only downside with this, Kane, not much magic.
Right.
You might be able to do that once. And you're going to have to dump ethers into him until he's back up to full mana and be like, we can do it again! Boom! Up! Feed that motherfucker some ethers!
Okay, so...
Because it takes magic from everybody to utilize it. The other big thing was the phases of the moon.
Yes, this I remember.
Which I actually loved.
I didn't get way too into the bands.
The bands, I went out of my way to actually look up some of them because I was curious. Because I was like,
right.
I want to see what all the ninjas can do. Because you do get 5 fucking ninjas.
But that was
awesome.
But in the moon thing. Now, I remember the moon
phase, certain phases of the moon affected different abilities. One phase of the moon, you might have really weak attack, but your black magic might go through the freaking roof.
Yes.
And you'd be like, Theodore, you're useless. I'm sorry. Hey, Rydia, drop a bomb.
Theodore, battle mechanics. Go to that real quick.
We'll Theodore's Awakening.
Yes, he was able to do like a Kaioken.
Yeah, he basically unlocked his Lunarian blood, which doubled his HP, rose his attack power, and rose his white magic power for a limited time.
And when it wore
off, he went into critical health. He survived with 1 HP. He was like, oh god!
It was Kaioken. It was Kaioken. He made him super powerful for a limited amount of time and then broke him because he used it.
I really think Theodore probably took after what Kluya probably would have been if he was still alive. He was basically a lunar knight. He had the white magic, which is what Kluya was most known for, but he was able to tap into his Lunarian blood, unlike what Cecil and Golbez were able to.
Right.
And he was a 4th Lunarian. So, what's that tell you?
Okay, well...
Think of if Golbez and Cecil could have done the same thing. That would have been some crazy shit.
Is there any other mechanics to talk about? I think that's it.
Mechanic-wise,
I don't think the characters really develop it. The only guy with a new mechanic in the after years is him, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for the most part. I mean, Kane becomes a Holy Dragoon, but he basically keeps jump and learns white.
Right. It doesn't change the mechanics.
Yeah, he's still jump guy, but he becomes more useful as jump guy.
I will say this: it was slightly harder to get lost in this game than the previous ones.
Yeah, it was a little bit more of a straight path. Mechanic was actually there were 2 big mechanics. once you beat somebody's story, because it was broken up into stories.
Yes.
That was one big mechanic. You could actually port your save data from each story, or you just jump into the final one if you're dumb. Because everybody's going to be like severely under-leveled, or have like no equipment or money. You did that, didn't you?
No. I seem to recall Bill doing it, actually.
He's like, I ain't playing through all this shit. Fuck that.
No, I made a mistake that the game doesn't explain. You save the game, you go to the next character in the line,
and you think
save
you
the
can
game.
save in the same spot.
Well, when you save the game in the same spot, it overwrites the previous data of the last guy and deletes everything that you did with the last guy.
We both did that, and when we both figured it out, we were mad.
Yep.
I was like, well, I ain't playing this anymore.
Not.
Yeah.
And thus, while you suffered, I laughed.
But when you do complete somebody's story, like when you complete Theodore's story, you can go back in, do a challenge dungeon, that as you continuously run it, you'll gain better equipment for Theodore, so when you port him over to the final chapter, or if he happens to interact with anybody else in anyone else's chapters, he'll be at a higher level, he'll have more equipment, you'll have a lot more freaking gil, which you need, so that way you can buy stuff, because potions are fucking expensive. They're like, welcome to the world of peace! We've raised our prices 100%. Have fun.
No
You're like,
joke.
I had to pay $1,000 for a freaking high potion? What? I used to pay like $500 for this. Yep, well, inflation, and yes, pay us more money.
It kind of is. It's supply and demand.
Yeah,
Nobody needs it.
Yeah, nobody needs it anymore. No, because if it's set that way, if nobody needs it, and they have a massive supply of it still,
no, but they
it should go down in price.
But in a
Instead,
way,
they're like, oh wait, you need that? And they're just like scribble on the board
It's just
real
like
quick.
a collector's market, though. There's not that many people that are actually out there looking for these certain items, but that's exactly why they know they can move it for the price.
No, I know what happened. So, this is my theory on it. The shopkeepers were probably selling those high potions at $100 each because they're like, we have to get rid of this now. And then they just happen to hear that some adventuring people are coming through, and one of them just happens to be the Prince of Baron. They're like, They just run over real quick to their little shop thing that has a list of their prices. Like, just put a 0 at the end of that. Put a 0 at the end of that. Yeah, there we go. That looks better.
So we're done with mechanics?
Yeah, we're pretty much done with mechanics.
Now the tale.
Holy dicks. This is going to be a minute. Because this one we have to go through 3 games.
Okay, well, we start off as Cecil. Cecil is a dark knight under the control of a king who is no longer the king, but is actually an evil fiend, which we don't know yet.
He's the elemental fiend of water, in which you don't know.
The elemental fiend is attempting to gather these crystals to basically cripple the world. Technically speaking.
Well, to get up to the moon to awaken Zeromus.
You are Cecil
Zenus.
at first, and you kind of, you're sent on a mission to slaughter these people that can't even defend themselves, to take this crystal. You stop and you think about it.
They can't, they choose not to.
You feel like a piece of shit. You know you're a piece of shit, and slowly but surely he realizes that something is wrong. You're sent on a mission to deliver a package to a town which turns out to be essentially a bomb that goes off and kills everybody, only for you to piece it together that these people are powerful people. They were dangerous, so the king got rid of them. You now know that something is wrong.
And you save a little girl after she throws an earthquake in your face.
You save the last little girl of that entire society, and you try to go into hiding. You're not 100% sure what to do, but they find you. You then kill the soldiers that found you, making you an enemy of the state, essentially.
Pretty much.
And now you're on the run. You need to move, and you need to move now.
And the little girl actually starts opening up a little bit to you because, well,
the next country over should be able to help you, as long as you explain what's going on.
You just have to run and warn them about what's going on.
As you move towards the old guy is found in the cave. He helps you get to that point. Now, when you get to that point, you get there late. And the Red Wings have destroyed this country.
Just bombed the living piss out of it. It's like, boom, nothing.
You then go in to see one of the most ignorant scenes in the history of all Final Fantasy history.
10 steps away.
Allow me to explain. Allow me to explain. You walk into a room, there's a lady dying on the floor. She obviously is not dead yet. And by Final Fantasy physics, if thou ist not dead, thine can be healed. So,
as long as thou hast not been shanked in the back.
You are standing in this room with this woman as she dies. You have Tella, a white mage, who does nothing.
Well, it's his daughter, so he's like shocked with grief.
You have Edward, who could easily steal your potions and heal her. He does nothing. You have a little girl with white magic. She does nothing. She's
scared.
You have a Dark Knight who's probably holding the inventory, who's just like, fuck
I don't know that bitch.
I don't know that bitch. He does nothing.
Also,
there are 5 guards, plus an old lady and an old woman, 10 steps away, with a pot that heals all life and magic.
And status.
Status
ailments too.
They do nothing. This little girl, this young lady lies on the floor dying, talks about death and the forgiveness and this and that. Please forgive him. I love him, this and that. I'm sorry, I was coming back and I never made it. And this old dude's like, I'm so sorry too. I'm sorry that I'm so fucking stupid that I'm not even going to try to help you right now. And then she dies. As soon as she's done dying and we can get back to our lives, we walk 10 steps over to the left, take a drink out of the magic pot, heal all of our life, all of our magic, all of our status ailments, and now we can move on throughout the course of the story. Fuck her.
Oh, but the upside is, we got a useless guy, but we lost our useful guy.
Yes. Now,
but we got a hovercraft.
Tella is angry. Tella leaves the party because everybody was too stupid and did nothing.
Including him.
Edward, because he was too stupid and did nothing, he decides to tag along with you. You go to get a sand deal to go heal Ruby. Rosa, who you find in another town. You go over to the other town. You heal the lady. As soon as Rosa's back up and moving, you now have
a white mage.
You now have a mission. Your mission is to warn the other countries, the other areas, that there is an invasion going on. Baron is flexing its muscles, and they're trying to get the crystals. Next in our line is Yang. We must warn Yang, because his name sounds like Wang, and no one with the name Wang likes to be taken advantage of.
So, we make our way past the Antlion Cave.
Take advantage of my Wang.
So anyways, we make our way back across the desert, past the busted-ass, castle of Damican. You go past the fucking Antlion Cave, and look! We are now at Mount Hobbs. That is blocked by ice.
Which is when Rydia learns fire so that we can move past this point.
Rydia has to be coaxed by Rosa because she's too afraid of fire. Because Cecil was an asshole, didn't bother looking in the box.
But he was told not to.
And I still would have looked in the box, because when someone tells you not to do something,
but that's
you
your king.
Want to do that.
That wasn't just his king, that was his father. And that was the man.
Figure. Yeah.
But that was way more than a father. That was a man that owed him nothing, that brought him into greatness.
That's true.
Took him as his own. He could have been the prince.
But, anyways, Rydia learns fire, blows up the ice, and she's like, yay, I did something! And so they go up the mountain, and they witness the slaughter of every single high-level monk of Fabul. Except for one. Because he's too badass to get his ass whooped. He's like...
He would have died.
Oh, he would have. Because Mom
he
would have just blown up in his face. He would have been like, off the mountain, no!
After saving him, you try to warn him. You try to warn him. You tell him that you'll help. You go back to his castle. It's too late. Baron is massing. You're going to have to prepare for an invasion attack. Force them back. Impossible.
So, instead of keeping Rosa and Rydia with you to be able to utilize a better defense, you send the 2 girls off to go hide, and you take the fucking bard! Really?
Yes.
Mister, oh no, I got a paper cut, I gotta go hide now!
So you take the bard, and you fortify a defense trying to fight the entire Red Wing army.
Who are flying in, bombing stuff, dropping monsters on top of you.
This is where it really takes a twist. You realize that Baron is no longer an invading kingdom, but is something else entirely. They are utilizing the monsters of the wild that at first were just, the monsters are on the rise. It's troubling times. It's not troubling times, there's something else going on.
Yep.
These monsters are utilized by the Red Wing army, who
and
then...
some of the people in the Red Wing army are actually monsters in disguise.
Yes. In which we end up finding our old friend Kane, who we left the castle with at the beginning of the game. He is now hateful and vengeful of us, but we don't know why.
Because he wants that sweet, sweet Rosa ass.
For some reason, he is ridiculously powerful compared to the last time we've seen him, and he makes very short work of Cecil easily,
the funny
might
thing
I
is,
add.
Alright, there is one funny thing about this that I have to mention.
What?
You can use a bestiary on him, because you don't know the scan spell, because you're not a paladin yet.
Yeah.
If you use a bestiary on Kane, he has 65,553 HP.
He's a beast!
Now, how the fuck are you supposed to beat that?
You don't.
You don't. He has to win that fight due to
and he
story.
goes, poke! And you go, oh no!
Yeah, he does an unreasonable amount of damage.
Now, here's the funny thing, Ed. You do drop the 0 HP. You die in battle. You're bleeding out to death on the floor, going, oh God, it hurts so bad.
It's a good thing
Kane, you douchebag. It's a good thing that little girl's there. The little girl goes,
I was going to say it's a good thing you're in better company than you were when the little girl was dying on the floor.
Yeah. Because everyone's like, oh no, Cecil, we can't have you die. You're important. Ew.
After that, you utilize a strike, and you get a couple monks that endorse letting Yang go with you. They're like, this has to be dealt with. Yang, please go deal with this.
We'll take care of the king.
They give you a ship. You try to cross the ocean. Doesn't quite work out for you.
No.
The king of the summons, Leviathan, at this point in time, because we don't know about the other, the king of the summons attacks your boat for whatever douchebaggy reason he has.
Because I think it's because he happened to notice what was going on in the world, and he sensed Rydia's presence. He's like, gotta get that bitch, gotta teach her how to do some shit.
It splits up everybody. You now wake up with only Cecil in the land that you assaulted. You killed
initially,
these people.
you just wake up on a beach, you're like, where the hell am I?
But you are in Mysidia.
Oh!
You slaughtered these people without remorse. At least that's what it looks like to them. You are a dark, shadowy, foreboding figure of death, and you leave nothing but misery in your wake. Now, you have to find a way to put right what you've done. You are in the town that you just slaughtered hundreds of people.
By the way, if you talk to certain NPCs, they turn you into pig.
Right.
Or frogs.
You must now go beg forgiveness and ask for these people's help in securing the future.
And so the elder of the village decides to send 2 apprentice mages with you to oversee a test. You have to go to the top of Mount Ordeals and confront the spirit of the mountain.
Because there's time for that in saving the world.
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
There is always
There's
time
always
for a
time to
detour.
go up a mountain. Go up to the mountain. Go up to the mountain.
It is he is right though, it is a little ridiculous, but they also explain to him that even though his heart is now in the right place, his power is not. And for the coming time, the coming battle, if he tries to wield the darkness that in his heart, he will not only fail, eventually he will be consumed by this darkness, and he will become every bit what Kane is now.
Yep. So he gladly takes on the task of attempting to climb the mountain.
While being told...
Thank God they give us the 2 little kids.
While being told that nobody has ever
survived
come
this
back
test.
down. No one has ever... People have made it to the top. Nobody's come back. Nobody has ever been a paladin in the history of their universe.
So they start going up the mountain, but the mountain's blocked by fire. So Black Mage Palom decides to go, I got this, cast ice, boom, fire's gone, they start going up the mountain, and Old Man comes back.
Yes, Tella returns.
Tella was drawn to the place.
Yes, very sweet, actually. Very sweet.
He sought out power to unlock the ultimate spell. And he had a feeling that something up there would help him out. So he joins you on your quest. And so you get up to the summit, and you start hearing these really weird sounds.
This is the first
and the
evil
twins
fiend.
twins start fighting about it. Because Porum thinks Paladin's being a douchebag. So she smacks him and says, knock it off. It's not funny. He's like, I'm not doing anything. And it happens again. And she starts yelling at him even more. It's like, I'm not doing it.
Right.
You hit the same point real quick because you're not stupid. And then you go up and try to cross a bridge and enter Scarmagillion, the elemental fiend of poison, death, and earth.
Right.
So he pops up with a couple guys. You kill him. And you're like, man, I feel good. I just killed an elemental archfiend. Let's get this over with. So you walk across the bridge. Psst, by the way, here's a hint. Make sure you switch your rows before you finish crossing the bridge.
Yes, because he back attacks you. And your magic guys are then
from the dead and says, I am now more powerful in my death.
He's kind of like a Sith.
Yeah. He's a Sith retard.
You then...
then he curse breasts you until you're almost dead and you finally figure out how to kill him.
Upon killing him, you do witness one of the coolest parts of the game. Inside of the room, you will face a reflection of yourself. There's also another part of the story that happens here, which I'm going to leave out so that people that haven't played can have some surprises.
Yeah.
Now, you will face a reflection of yourself, which I thought was really cool because you don't overpower it. There's a gimmick as to how to defeat it to actually pass this test.
Stand there and do nothing.
Which was why it was such a big pain in the ass for me.
I mean, you can attack.
I powered my way through this game.
Yep. No, you can attack.
Right, but he will never die. And actually, the more you attack, the more it
keeps telling you that is not the way of justice.
It tells you to sheathe your sword. It tells you to defend. It tells you to heal. Like, it doesn't want you attacking because your whole life you have been a symbol of power, death, destruction. You are a symbol of chaos. But now it's time for a different way. You are a symbol of order. You need to overcome. You need to take the licks. Your other self puts you through the trials. If you can live through the torment, the pain and suffering that you've caused all these others, then you will be a new man. You walk back down the mountain. Of course, you go back, you get your information, and now it's time to take the portal back to Baron. It's time to do something about this.
So you take Snake Road, which is a cursed road. You have to have a lot of vitality to get through there. How Tella gets through there, I don't know. Old Man can barely cast a freaking spell.
He piggybacked.
He's like, boop, 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 boop. Yeah, he must have piggybacked. He's like, I'm too old for this. Somebody carry me.
At Baron, we learn the truth that, like you said, monsters are actually in disguise of our people.
Well, before that, we run back into our old buddy Yang.
That's true. He's in the inn. We fight Yang.
You have to fight Yang and knock him out of his brainwashing.
Because he's under the exact same control that we now find Kane under.
Mm-hmm. So you beat Sense back into Yang, which is funny, because you're going to beat him up again later on with the frying pan. It's awesome.
We then move into Baron to fight Bacon. I know that's not his name.
His actual name is Bacon.
Yeah, Bacon.
Bill was playing some of the Final Fantasy Legacy game with me a while back, and I ran him through most of the game. And when we got to fight Bacon, I was like, "And now to battle Bacon!" And he's like, "What?" It's like, it's Bacon. Come on, everybody knows Bacon.
After killing Bacon, we learn the truth that the king was actually the second Archfiend.
Cagnazzo, the elemental archfiend of water.
And that the king has probably
Stupid
been dead
turtle.
for a very long time, because you are a Dark Knight, or were a Dark Knight rather, and it was upon the king's request that you wielded the dark power for the better of the kingdom. Now, you already know that you trained with your childhood friend, and he became a dragoon as you became a Black Knight, a Dark Knight. Well, if that's true, then this king has probably been dead for like 10 years.
It's a good possibility.
Now you avenge your king, you kill this enemy, upon which he will try to trap you in a death trap where the two kids give their lives
by
to
turning
become
themselves into statues to prevent the squishiness.
Yep.
But the door is locked behind you. Sid, after breaking out of jail, Sid the airship engineer, busts through. He's like, "Let me at that guy. I'm gonna give him an earful." He's like, "Oh, okay. I see how it is. You guys do the fight without me." And then he makes fun of Tella for being old.
Yes. He then grants you the airship, which leads us to the second part of the game, where the world opens up to us. At this point, we're going to skip certain storyline elements so that you guys have your chance to search around.
You do a lot of stuff.
We need to move to the next crystal. That's going to be, through a series of events, we will end up in the underworld.
Yep. Well, we get the Earth crystal first, but
yes,
that's in Terraria. You meet back up with Edward real quick. Some stuff happens. You go save Rosa. Tella dies. Like a badass.
Yes, it's pretty sweet.
Even though it really doesn't do anything for him.
But it's pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet. And then you go to a place called Agart, and in the center of Agart, which is a place that is supposedly all the residents are descendants of dwarves, there is a well, and you happen to have this weird key. So you chuck the key in the well, and suddenly the big mountain behind Agart rips open and gives you access to go to the underworld, where there's a complete another world map.
Yes.
Where the dwarves live, ironically enough.
And one of the places that I got lost most frequently.
This is where we will deal with, another acknowledgement
crystals
by Kane. We will fight Kane again. He will still be douchey.
Yep.
We will then finally fight Golbez for the first time.
Who's a complete and total douchebag, because initially, almost right out the gate of the battle, he goes, "Hold gas." Your entire party gets paralyzed whether or not you have protection against it. And you go, "Oh no, that was not good." And then he goes and proceeds to eliminate one at a time your entire party after summoning his Shadow Dragon. He goes, "Shadow Dragon, boom. Hey, Shadow Guy, start murdering them all for me. I'm too lazy." And so it disrupts the life force of Rosa, and then Yang gets murdered off, and then Sid gets murdered off, and he's like, "And now for you, Cecil." And then out of nowhere, you hear this weird voice. And then the Mist Dragon shows back up.
Which
you're
was
like,
the very first
"We killed
guy
that
of the
thing.
game.
We killed that thing. Where the hell is that coming from?" And she's like, and then you hear a voice saying, "Don't worry, stand up." And Cecil gets healed, and he stands up. He's like, "What just happened?" And then Rydia pops back in, all a hell of a lot older, looking all badass and shit. And she's like, "Don't worry, I got this." And you just summon a couple things, and Golbez is like, "Oh no!"
It is at this point that for time, we will cut it off, and I basically want to say this. If you haven't been able to piece it together so far,
This is a big game.
Unlike Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, this game has a large story. This game has a well-devised story. And
we can't actually fit all of it into discussion, sadly.
yes, but that was the very first time that this ever happened. For the first time ever, there was a story that was large, that was well written, that had interesting characters, that gave us a sense of accomplishment as we went through the game, and set in motion an expectancy for all Final Fantasies that would follow from this point forward. No Final Fantasy after has ever been without these subtle features. There are certain things that were set in stone with Final Fantasy IV that are still being acknowledged today.
Mm-hmm.
And to put it bluntly, if you want to get super technical, Final Fantasy IV is the first real Final Fantasy. Up until this point, we were just laying the groundworks. This
is the first polished work.
This is the first real RPG.
It's taken a couple iterations to fully polish it. But honestly, this is what set it up for later great games like 6 and 7.
This is the first game in the history of Final Fantasy that you can debate. You can debate things about gameplay for Part 1. You can debate a couple things story for Part 2. You can say that Part 3 was okay, had some problems, and yada yada. But Part 4, the interesting thing is that for the first time ever after you were done with Part 4, you didn't talk about parts of the game you liked. You talked about parts of the story you liked, and that alone signifies the birth of a completely new type of RPG when it comes to Final Fantasy. This game changed everything. From now on, we'll pick favorite characters, and they'll be based on story, not based on the fact that
I made random character 6 into this badass Dragoon Black Mage combo.
It will no longer be a debate of like, well, later on, fucking fighter gets healing magic.
Nope, now it's so-and-so character does all this badass stuff.
Everybody
like,
plays a significant role, and that's different people will view it different ways and then pick favorites because of that. This was a massive game. It was no small undertaking, and it literally changed the RPG world at large. When this thing came out, it set a standard that other games would now have to live up to.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, it is time to grade this monster.
Well, disembodied voice.
Me first, huh?
You're first.
I'd give it a solid. You said a scale's out of 5, right?
5
3
is
being a 2.5
5
is 3.
Well,
being a
2.5 is okay. 5 is perfect. 4 is great. 3 is basic. 2 is meh. Only if this is the type of game that you can't live without, such as Dragon Ball Z fighting games usually suck. Why do we buy them? Because they're Dragon Ball Z games and we want the chance to beat Goku. 1, this game is terrible. Stay away from it. 0,
we're sorry we talked about
We're
it.
sorry we even talked about it.
Give it a solid 4.7.
A 4.7?
I really, truly enjoyed this game.
And I believe that. And
You've
4 was the
seen me
first Final
playing
Fantasy
day
game
after
I
day
played.
after day.
Yep. This is one of the first games that I feel had that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Up until this point, when I played my Super Nintendo, I just played it. Mario, you jumped on some heads, you moved along. I mean, that's the way it was. This was the first time. Even other RPGs, Dragon Warrior was one of those events where I was like, oh, look, I killed some guys and I bought a new sword.
Woo.
That's cool. But I didn't realize how cool it could actually be until Part 4. Part 4 opened my eyes to an entire new world of RPG, an entire new idea in video game history, and changed my standard of games. After Final Fantasy IV, I was able to play games where I was like, this sucks. Because if the story didn't hold my attention, the gameplay wasn't enough anymore. And that set me on a very different track.
Which is why you hate 13.
In a way, this is majorly why I hate some other games.
This is why everybody in the group hates 12.
So, if I had to say something, I'm very close to a perfect game here. I think this is a perfect adaptation of the games, but if I'm to compare it to every game in the series, it has to be like 4.5.
4.5? And I actually have to agree with Bill on the score of a 4.5. It is a masterpiece in its own, but it does not outdo certain other games. Because there's way too much in those other games that overshadow what this game does. But I give it a really high score because, in truth, if you have to look at whichever Final Fantasy you played first is kind of like your first true love. This is definitely it for me.
Yes.
Because
does happen.
This is the one game that actually really broke me into console role-playing games. Because I played a little bit of D&D before I even played this when I was a lot younger. And then I sat down over at my friend's house after we got done playing D&D. And he's like, play this game. I was like, ooh, what's this? It's an RPG. And so I sat down and played it. And I was like, this game is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what kept me going with the Final Fantasy franchise. So I will give it a 4.5 also, out of principle, because I would like to give it a higher score, but I know I can't.
Right. That's kind of with me. I would give this a 5. I think it's the most perfect version of 4. But there's a game that sits higher on my list.
And
so
we'll be coming up to that in
it.
a couple episodes. Because I think we all know what that one is. So overall score is a 4.57, because I'm just going to round it up.
That's fine.
So this one is astronomically higher than the other.
This is now the pinnacle of our Final Fantasy Legacy discussion. On our next episode in the Final Fantasy Legacy discussion, we will be going over the DS version of this and seeing if 1, is this just as good? 2, is this better? Or 3, are the changes just too much and it's time to give lower scores? I've been William Bush.
Nick Bennett.
Disembodied voice.
And later on.